We all know YouTube, right? I mean, it's kind of unavoidable these days.
Yeah.
It's where we go for like everything, seriously, everything. You need to fix a leaky faucet. YouTube? Want to watch a cat fall asleep on a Roomba? YouTube? Feeling like a good cry? Yeah, probably YouTube for that too.
It's true. I mean, it's become this kind of like digital Swiss Army knife for our lives, hasn't it?
Totally. But okay, so we all use it.
Yeah.
But have you ever stopped to think about what's going on, like behind the scenes of it all? Like beyond the perfectly edited videos and like the viral trends and those creators living in like mansions?
Right, because there's a whole other side to YouTube, one that doesn't always make it into those glossy vlogs.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing today. We're peeling back the curtain a bit, taking a deep dive into the real world of being a YouTube creator. We're going to be looking at, things like creator burnout, how this mysterious algorithm really works, how people actually make money on this thing, and, some of the more questionable content that slips through the cracks.
I think a lot of people probably have this image of, YouTubers just kind of like hanging out, filming themselves, doing fun stuff all day, and the money just rolls in. And while, sure, there are definitely aspects of that, it's a lot more complex than it might seem from the outside.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So we're going to try to give you a glimpse into what's actually going on beneath the surface.
Yeah.
Stuff you might not realize is just a casual viewer.
Exactly. Because it really is a whole ecosystem, and understanding the forces at play that influence both the creation and consumption of content. It's kind of crucial in this day and age, to be media literate.
For sure. So, okay, let's start with the basics, right? The dream of being a YouTuber. Be honest, has that thought ever crossed your mind? Like, hey, I can make videos about something I love, build a community, maybe even ditch the 9 to 5 and, make a living doing it. It's got to be tempting, right?
Of course. It's a super appealing idea, and YouTube itself kind of, perpetuates that dream in a lot of ways. But what often gets lost in all the hype is the sheer amount of work involved. It's not just about making a video and uploading it, it's a constant grind.
Yeah, and that's something we really want to get into today, like the reality versus the kind of romanticized image. Because, unlike a regular job where you can take a vacation, step away for a bit, on YouTube, it can feel like any time off is like punishing you almost.
Right. Your views drop, you lose momentum, and it's almost as if the algorithm just decides you've disappeared, like you don't exist anymore.
So let's talk about the algorithm. Like, what is this thing, really? It seems like this like mystical force that controls everything.
It's definitely powerful. You can think of it as this incredibly complex system designed to basically keep people glued to YouTube for as long as possible. The longer you watch, the more ads they can show you, the more money they make.
Okay, that makes sense. But how does it actually decide what videos to show us?
Well, it looks at a ton of factors, like what you've watched before, what's trending, and get how active a channel is.
Really? So if you don't upload constantly, it's like punishing you.
Pretty much. And that creates this crazy pressure for creators to just constantly churn out content, even if they're burnt out, even if they're, struggling mentally. And a lot of them are afraid to even talk about it because they think it'll hurt their channel.
Wow. So you're saying there's this whole other side to these seemingly successful creators where they might be silently suffering.
Yeah, and the pressure to be on all the time, it takes a real toll. We'll talk more about the mental health aspect later, but it's definitely a huge part of this whole equation.
Okay, back to the algorithm for a second. It's kind of unsettling how little control creators seem to have over it, right?
Yep.
Like they're at the mercy of this black box.
It is. And it's interesting. Even YouTube itself, the people who built this thing, they admit they don't fully understand how it works. It's constantly learning, evolving, changing.
It's like you're trying to play a game where the rules keep changing without you knowing.
Exactly. And that unpredictable nature, it just adds to the stress and anxiety for creators.
Okay, well, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the money side of things, because that's, a big part of the allure. Right, the idea of making a living off YouTube.
Right, the potential to earn money from your videos. It's a huge draw. But the reality is, it's not as simple as just getting views. It's all tied to this ad-based revenue system, and that comes with its own set of rules.
Okay, so break it down for us. How does it work?
Basically, creators make money when ads are shown on their videos. But to get those ads, their content has to be, what they call advertiser-friendly.
So like no swearing, no controversial topics, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Brands don't want their ads showing up next to content that might be offensive or, damage their image.
Right. That makes sense. But then you see like some creators who seem to thrive on being controversial. They push boundaries, sometimes even dip into, like, misinformation or even hate speech.
Right.
And they seem to be doing just fine financially.
And that's where it gets, really complicated because sometimes the most controversial content, the stuff that gets people riled up, it also gets the most views and engagement. And engagement, well, that translates to money for YouTube.
So is YouTube kind of like stuck in this weird position where they want to be a responsible platform, but they also like profit from some of the more questionable stuff that happens on there?
Yeah. It's a tough balance,
Yeah.
and it raises questions about what their priorities really are. Are they more concerned with, making money or with fostering a healthy online environment?
It's a good question. Okay, so we've talked about burnout, algorithms, the weirdness of making money on YouTube, but we also need to talk about some of the darker aspects of the platform. And I'm talking about the stuff that, frankly, is just disturbing.
Right. And a lot of it revolves around the exploitation of vulnerable people, particularly children.
Yeah. And this isn't just some random, like, shadowy corner of the internet. We're talking about stuff that can end up in, like, recommended videos and trending pages.
We've seen, for example, those creepy videos aimed at kids, disguised as cartoons but with really inappropriate themes. And then there are families who exploit their own children for views and money, sharing really personal details of their lives.
It's really unsettling. And then there are those prank videos, which often cross the line into straight-up harassment and abuse.
Oh, for those views, those likes, those subscribers. It's like the need for viral fame can make people do some really messed up things.
And the thing is, YouTube has been criticized for being slow to respond to these issues. Like, they don't seem to take action until there's a huge public outcry or media attention.
And that delay, it raises concerns about whether they're truly prioritizing user safety over profit.
Okay, let's switch gears again and talk about the creators themselves, because as we've been talking about, all this pressure, this scrutiny, it can really take a toll on their mental health.
Yeah, the mental health crisis among YouTubers is a real thing. And it's not just, small creators, even some of the biggest names out there, people like Jaden Animations, PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, they've all been open about their struggles with anxiety, depression, burnout.
Yeah, I've seen some of those videos, and it's pretty eye-opening. Like, you realize these are real people, not just like characters on a screen.
And they're dealing with a lot. You're constantly putting yourself out there for millions of people to judge. Your self-worth can get tied to those metrics, the likes, the views, the comments.
And it's not just the negative comments, even the positive ones. Like, if you get a million people telling you how great you are, that's got to be overwhelming too.
Absolutely. And then there's the pressure to always be on, to always have new content, to maintain this persona that might not even reflect who you really are.
And if you're struggling, you're afraid to admit it because you think it'll damage your channel.
Right. And that's really concerning.
So, okay, we've talked about a lot of heavy stuff today. The dark side of YouTube, the pressures, the exploitation, the mental health struggles. And I guess the big question is, what do we do with all this information?
Right. It's not like we can just, shut down YouTube.
No, but maybe we be more conscious about how we use it, right?
Definitely. We can be more aware of what we're clicking on, what we're giving our attention to.
Like, are we supporting creators who are contributing to a healthier online environment? Are we being mindful of the fact that these are real people with their own struggles?
Exactly. And we can be more supportive. When a creator takes a break, don't bombard them with demands for new content. Leave a kind comment instead of a snarky one. Little things like that can make a difference.
Yeah. And maybe we can all push YouTube to do better, too. Like, be more transparent about how the algorithm works, be quicker to address harmful content, prioritize user well-being over just making money.
It's not going to be easy, but I think it's a conversation worth having. Because at the end of the day, YouTube is a reflection of us, of our society.
That's true. So, if we want to see a better YouTube, well, maybe we all need to start by looking in the mirror. It's a bit of a downer ending, huh?
Maybe. But hopefully it's also a thought-provoking one.
Yeah, because behind all those shiny, happy YouTube videos, there's a lot more going on than meets the eye.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been something.
It has, but an important something, I think.
I agree.